Welcome back to another episode of the Wicked Bitter podcast. Today, we're going to talk about the Royal Rumble coming up in a few days here, this Saturday as of this recording. Today is Tuesday, and the Royal Rumble is this Saturday. I will be in the house for Royal Rumble, which I'm really excited for, down in St. Pete, Florida. Taking a road trip down there this weekend, and I will be there live with my cousin, my brother, and my fiance. It's going to be a great night. I'm excited for it. A lot to cover. I wanted to wait until after Monday Night Raw to record this. I wanted to see what was up with Seth Rollins. So he vaguely kind of answered, I feel like, what's wrong with him. So he does need surgery on his knee. He's got like a tear in there and a partial. I forgot exactly what it all is, but regardless, he's going to need surgery. It wasn't clear if he's going to get it or not. At least it wasn't clear to me. So he said during his promo that it would require, I believe he said 3 to 4 months or something of recovery time. So if he goes through with surgery like right now, today, he could maybe be back for WrestleMania. He did not relinquish the title. So Seth Rollins is still the World Heavyweight Champion. Now, I'm glad he held on to the title. I was wondering if he was going to relinquish it on Raw or if they were going to pull something off where Damian Priest cashes in or something or whatever. But it looks like they're going to go through with it and have Seth keep the title. Now, from now until WrestleMania, whether Seth has a surgery or not, he won't be competing. That's clear. So it looks like this might be one of those things where maybe he waits to have surgery and he kind of just tries to work on his knee and try to get it as much to strength and health as he can before WrestleMania. Or he can just have the surgery now. And he did mention in his promo that it doesn't matter what the recovery time is. He's going to beast through the rehab. He's going to have to go to lengths that even doctors can't even predict or whatever, just to make sure he's there in time for WrestleMania. So that's great to hear. Not great to hear that he's obviously hurt and in pain, and he tore some stuff in his knee and all that kind of stuff. I hope he gets better quicker than later, sooner than later. So I don't think that's really going to disrupt the main event picture for night one with Seth Rollins. I still feel like, well, hey, let's get into it. Royal Rumble. For the longest time, I felt like Seth Rollins is going to face CM Punk at WrestleMania, right? Ever since Punk came back, that very night in November in Chicago, Survivor Series, right away, I was like, okay, there's a history here. And then it released the video of the way Seth reacted to Punk. So that is clear. It's the focus. They've tried to stay away from one another for the most part. So it looks like it's going to be Seth versus Punk, which I love. It's going to be great. That's an amazing main event for night one. Everybody asks what happens to Cody. Here's the thing about Cody. I don't think he's going to finish his story at this WrestleMania. Not only that, I don't think for him to finish the story, I don't think it's him winning the World Heavyweight Championship. I think specifically it's the WWE title, the title that his dad never won. There's a whole thing behind it. And there are people out there, I've read comments, I've heard people talk about Roman losing his title in the Fatal 4-Way where he doesn't have to get pinned or whatever. To me, I'm against all of that. For me, I don't even see Roman performing at Elimination Chamber. I don't see him fighting at Elimination Chamber against either Cody or The Rock. I don't see that happening at all. To me, there's no way in hell that you've built up Roman Reigns for these past 3 years as this dominant tribal chief, nobody can beat me champion, breaking records as champion, just to have him either to A, lose in a Fatal 4-Way match, or B, lose it at Elimination Chamber against The Rock. If The Rock is coming in to do this match, it has to be at WrestleMania. This is probably, and most people will argue this is probably the biggest match in WrestleMania history, in company history, The Rock versus Roman Reigns. And you're not going to have that story happen at Elimination Chamber, for one. And for two, you're not going to have it happen without the title. I'd be extremely surprised. Because if Roman loses this title, whether he gets pinned or not at the Royal Rumble or Elimination Chamber, as some people think, I feel like it just loses complete steam off of Roman Reigns. This guy cannot lose a match, whether he gets pinned or not. He cannot lose the title, whether he gets pinned or not. If it's Roman Reigns versus The Rock, yes, I do agree that it's a big enough match where it doesn't even need a title. If that was the case leading into it, I'm 100% okay with it. But the fact that Roman has had the title for 3 years now, as the tribal chief, in the bloodline, this is Roman at an all-time high. You cannot take that title away from it. If he has the title and he's facing The Rock, a match that people clamored for, right? People lost their minds when The Rock even teased it by saying, do I sit at the head of the table? I mean, you do not waste this, okay? We don't know how much The Rock has left in him as far as how much longer he wants to actually wrestle, or his body will allow him to wrestle. He looks like he's in phenomenal shape, besides the point. I do believe this is like The Rock's last match ever. And if you're going to go into it like that, The Rock has to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, the biggest stage in Florida where The Rock's from. I mean, it's got to be there. It has to be. And it has to be for the title. The Rock's not going to win that title. But it's just the marquee. It's just the visualization of it. It's everything that goes into it. The Rock versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, years in making, for the WWE Championship. That is just typical. That is by the book WWE. Okay, that is 100% happening. Now, things get a little trickier on the World Heavyweight Championship side. Royal Rumble match. I mean, you got Roman. I mean, you got Cody. You have CM Punk. You got Drew. You got Gunther now, who had his promo with Seth. I think these are all just backups for Triple H. Some options, I should say, just in case something goes wrong with Seth's recovery or something. There's layers to this. So I believe CM Punk's winning the Royal Rumble. I think Punk will face Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. Cody, I don't know what we're doing with Cody. I don't know. I don't think his story gets finished here. I don't actually think Cody's story gets finished until maybe next WrestleMania. And to be honest, I don't think Roman Reigns loses this title until next WrestleMania. Hulk Hogan's record's coming up. It's around SummerSlam. I could see Roman going past SummerSlam as the champ. A lot of people won't like to hear that, probably won't like to see it happen, but I feel like realistically, you've already gone this far, you might as well just keep going. There's another record in sight. There's Hulk Hogan's record. I think he surpasses that, and I think at max, he brings it out to next WrestleMania. He could maybe lose it after SummerSlam, but I think he is going to go into WrestleMania. And then maybe that's where Cody finishes his story. What you do with Cody in the meantime up until then, no idea. No idea. But the good thing is you have options. You got Punk, you got Rollins, you got Gunther, you got McIntyre, you got Priest, Lumen. You got options for Cody to keep him occupied until next WrestleMania or until he's able to win that championship. By the way, did anybody... Have any of you watched or listened to Insightful with Chris Van Vliet, his podcast? It's a very great podcast. I listen to it and watch it all the time. He does phenomenal work over there. I listened to one today. He had Patrick Clark on there. And for those of you who that name might not be ringing a bell, or maybe it is and you just don't know who you're thinking of, Velveteen Dream for WWE for quite a while. I'm very surprised that he gave Patrick Clark a platform to speak. I'm not surprised because it's not something Van Vliet would do. Chris is great. It's not. That's not what surprises me. I'm just shocked that Patrick Clark's name has been dragged through mud in the past few years. That I feel like nobody wants to associate or give him a chance or talk to him or let him speak on their platforms. So to me, I think it's a little bit of a risky move on Chris's part. But he handled it so well, and he questioned things. They talked about a lot of stuff and they really dug deep about really personal, and Patrick opening up, which is very, very shocking to me, but very cool to hear. And just listening to it halfway through the podcast, I don't know. I don't know how truthful Patrick Clark's being. And honestly, obviously, I wasn't there for any of this stuff. I wasn't there actually in person for any of this. So I don't know what's truth and what's fabrication. I don't know if he's lying. I don't know if he's telling the truth. But as a listener and hearing all the stuff leading up to it and then hearing his explanation, he went missing from the public eye for like 3 years. And when I'm listening to this podcast, it really made me think that he really just like took those 3 years to come up with a valid case for himself, like to have he had an answer for everything. He had an answer for every question. It's like he prepped for all of this. It's like he had answers that he knew he was going to say beforehand. I'm going to be asked to this. I'm going to say this to this. That's what it sounded like to me. And then I think overdoing it with apologies. Like I'm all for being accountable and, living up to your stuff. But, for him, I don't know. I think at this point, it just sounded like he's just throwing them out there, trying to make it seem like he's resentful and he's grown a lot and he's matured. The whole podcast to me really made me feel like he was trying to convince all of us that, one, he was innocent, but like to a point where it was too much. And then two, it's like he was trying to convince us that he's going to be fine and okay. And he very well may be, but it's like he was trying to tell us, like, trying to convince us that it's not sympathy for him. It's more of like, oh, I'm doing great. My life's great kind of thing. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I just find that very interesting. I find that very telling to me, at least. And I want to believe him. I was a huge fan of Velveteen Dream. I mean, I remember when he first showed up in NXT, the crowd booed him. They didn't accept him. They thought he was too flamboyant. They didn't get his character. But I can truthfully and honestly say this, that when me and my brother first saw him in his debut and everything, we immediately really liked Velveteen Dream. We thought this character was so different and so over the top. And he came in looking like a combination of like Prince and Rick and Dave Chappelle when he was doing Rick James. And it was just a combination of everything. It was just, it looked awesome. I loved it. And eventually he got over the crowd. The crowd cheered him, loved him. A big fan of his, man. I really wanted to believe everything he was saying, but the stuff he was saying it didn't sit well with me. I just feel like I can't trust him. I felt like he just had an answer for everything, and it was just like, Chris was like, well, what about this then? So if you meant that, then why would this happen? And you can kind of hear like the wheels spinning in Patrick Clark's head, like, okay, how do I answer this? You know what I mean? Like, it just, I don't know. Something was very off about it. Anyway, Chris, props to you for doing that. It was a great episode, and I give you props for giving him a platform to get on and talk to everybody and kind of clear the air, I guess, if he did that for any. I know for me, I didn't feel any better going in or coming out than I was going in, or worse. I kind of just was like, it just didn't hit for me. Not the quality of your episode, it's just the things he was saying. I don't know. I didn't really buy it too much. And Patrick, I don't know. I think it's going to be a rough road for him as far as getting opportunities. I don't know if anybody is going to want to take a chance, and that sucks to say, but I honestly feel that way. I mean, you might have a company, maybe. I mean, never say never. I truly don't think WWE ever will, honestly. And I know like some bridges get mended, and I'm not even saying he burned a bridge there. It's just sometimes the public image or what's out there, whether being proven guilty or not, there's still that like asterisk near your name, and it's like, I don't know if WWE really wants to go down that route. It's not like they need Patrick Clark. WWE is doing amazing right now. Even NXT, I've heard. I don't really watch NXT too much, but I do know of some of the people on there, and I'm telling you, I'm a fan of a lot of those people down there in NXT. And honestly, during the Royal Rumble, I've been wanting like Trick Williams to show up so the whole crowd can be like, "Whoop that trick, whoop that trick." That'd be freaking sweet. So I'm hoping that happens. But anyway, yeah. Rough road for him, I think. I hope not, but I think it just doesn't seem like a lot of people are gonna want to take a chance. All right, let's do Royal Rumble predictions here. This is the reason why I wanted to do this episode anyway. By the way, first of all, before we get into that, can we talk about the promo real quick between Cody Rhodes and CM Punk on Raw? Amazing. Oh my God. Hey, you know, it's funny. I don't know if anybody ever really picked up on it because I haven't seen too many people talk about it, but that moment where Punk said, you've been carrying this company for 2 years, you know, you got the cover of the game, and now here comes a bigger, better superstar ready to take your place at WrestleMania. Did anybody catch that that's exactly what happened to CM Punk when Punk was at the top of his title reign, where he got the cover? I think it was WWE The Game 13 or WWE 12 or something like that. He got the cover, and then The Rock comes in, and then The Rock takes his spot at WrestleMania. Like, it was the same thing that happened to Punk, but Punk's doing it now to Cody. And honestly, really, The Rock is doing it to Cody too. But I think, you know, Punk was saying it in the sense of Punk was doing it to Cody. So, I mean, that was crazy to me. That was cool to see. And it's funny to connect the dots a little bit there. But, yeah, that promo was amazing by both guys. Cody and Punk freaking lit that up. But let's talk about Royal Rumble, man. I'm excited for the Royal Rumble. One more thing on the Cody and Punk thing. Isn't it funny that after that amazing promo, the very next day, Netflix announces that Raw is coming to Netflix on in January 2025. It's like CM Punk and Cody Rhodes just performed this cinematic masterpiece. Then Netflix was like, I want that. Obviously, they were in the works. It's not like they woke up the next morning and was like, hey, I want it. I mean, obviously, but it's funny the timing of it. Okay, now let's get to the Royal Rumble. It's in Tampa, Florida. I'm trying to think of some surprises for both the men's and women's side of the Royal Rumble. They've been very cards close to the chest kind of thing. Not really giving away too many people in there, which I like because in the past few years, they've always announced all these people that are going to be in it, and then they show up the graphic, and it's like you count the people on the graphic, and you're like, crap, we're already at 25. So it's like we already know who's in there. Like, even if it's not 25 surprises, I do like the idea or the aspect of not knowing who's coming, even if it's somebody we see every week. I just don't want to know. You know what I'm saying? I do have a few surprises in my head that I'm thinking that's going to happen this year for both the men and the women. Part of it's because I want to see it, and part of it is because maybe it makes a little bit of sense. For the men, I say number one, Andrade. He's no longer with AEW. His wife works for WWE's Charlotte Flair. And honestly, if you've been in WWE and you've been in AEW, and you have the potential and you already have all the background that Andrade has, I feel like there's only really the only other place to really go to is WWE or maybe TNA now. I think Andrade, I don't think his list is long of places that he'd rather go to. I really truly think he wants to go to WWE because the way Triple H handled Andrade when he was in NXT was great. And now that Triple H is in charge again, I feel like you're going to see a lot of people that want to come back now that Triple H is the one running things over in WWE. So I think Andrade's coming back. Another name I thought of today, Braun Strowman. I don't know where he's been. He just hasn't been around. I don't know if he's injured, but if he's not, or if he's not anymore, maybe he can make a surprise appearance. He can return. I think that'd be cool. I also have Wade Barrett, just because that's something I want. I've wanted Wade Barrett to show up in the Rumble for a couple years now, ever since Barrett has been back with WWE doing commentary, which he does an amazing job at. There's that part of me, I just really want him back in the ring wrestling, and I'll even take a one-off Royal Rumble spot for Barrett right now. I've always been a fan of Barrett. It'd be cool to have him in there. Another guy, I got Brock Lesnar. We haven't heard from him in a while. WrestleMania's around the corner. You got to feel like Brock's going to have something to do at WrestleMania. I could see him showing up in the Rumble. The crowd's going to go nuts. Something Brock, I think Brock, whoever he eliminates or whoever eliminates Brock will be a telltale sign of what the program will be for him at WrestleMania, whether he eliminates Gunther or Bobby Lashley or something. Like, there's going to be something. Maybe Gunther gets rid of Brock. There will be something there, I feel like, if Brock shows up, where it'll kind of guide us into where we think Brock's going to have his match or, at WrestleMania with. Last one for the guys. I only picked 5 on each side. The guys, I'm going to pick Big E because it's in his hometown. I know it's risky. I know the odds might not be that high. The neck injury, that's very hard and serious to come back from. I want him to come back 100% if he's healthy. Like, if there's any chance or if he's still got the lingering issues, don't even do it. That is such a serious thing. Health is first. Health is most important. I selfishly just really love Big E. I think he still has a great future ahead of him, and I would love to see him in the Royal Rumble. And I think the pop at the Royal Rumble would be insane, especially with it being in his hometown. Now, a couple of mentions here. Pat McAfee is always a chance that he shows up. Maybe Bad Bunny. And if depending on how they want to handle the World Heavyweight Championship, like if they wanted Cody to go for it, then maybe. And this is just me thinking because of the rumors of everything. Maybe Stone Cold shows up in the Royal Rumble. I doubt it, honestly. But it would be cool to see. And, there was rumors about him, getting in shape. And then the rumors of him and Punk maybe having a match at WrestleMania. You could always do Steve Austin shows up, throws Punk out, or vice versa. That would be amazing. But I don't know the likelihood of it. I don't think the chances are that high. On the women's side, I got a name that I feel like we haven't heard of or seen in a while. Layla. Where's Layla been? Do you guys remember Layla? With Michelle McCool for Lay Cool? I don't know if she just has no interest anymore or if WWE has no interest in bringing her in. I would like to see Layla. I've always thought Layla was cool, and I feel like if you're going to do all of this with Michelle McCool every year, why not switch it up a little bit? Because I feel like in the Women's Royal Rumble, we've kind of seen the same women each time. We haven't really, there's other women you can bring in. There's Victoria. I thought of like Melina, Eve Torres. I don't know what the conversation's like. I don't know if those women want to do it, or I don't know if WWE doesn't want to ask them. I don't know what the situation is. I just know it'd be cool to have some new matchups in there, some new fresh faces that we haven't seen in a long time. I have Liv Morgan returning. She's been out for a little bit. I know she was done being injured, but then she got in a little bit of trouble having some weed in her car or whatever it was. I don't think WWE is really going to penalize that, but she still hasn't been back yet. I think she's good to go. I think we see Liv Morgan return. I also have Sasha Banks. I just have a suspicion. I just feel like Banks is coming back, and I feel like Sasha was going to be in AEW. I think she would have been there by now. Same goes for TNA. We saw her at TNA a few weeks ago, kind of undercover, trying to be unrecognized, but people picked her out. And I feel like if she was going to be in TNA, she would. And especially with the news that Naomi's contract ended, maybe Sasha would like to reunite with her because now I have Naomi coming up in the Rumble too this year. It's again in Florida where Naomi's from, so Naomi's a free agent. I could see her coming back in WWE. That'd be kind of cool. And then if Banks shows up, that'd be cool. I feel like there's more possibilities with the women's match as far as big surprises and returns than there are for the men's. I think the opportunity is there. Another one people keep talking about is Jade Cargill. I would like to see Cargill show up. But thinking about it, it's kind of like you want Jade Cargill, when she shows up finally in WWE, to be all about the centerpiece is her. I feel like if you introduce her for the first time in action in the ring at the Royal Rumble, I feel like the attention kind of isn't all on her kind of thing, and maybe you kind of lessen her star power by doing that right out of the gate. I feel like you would want her to come out and show up and debut on an isolated event where it's not the Rumble, and then like she attacks somebody or makes a statement on somebody out of nowhere, where it's like that's the lasting image is her, instead of getting kind of lost in the shuffle in the Rumble. But who knows? Maybe she shows up in the Rumble. She's been signed for a few months now. She's been training, so who knows? And plus her coming out, nobody knows her song. You don't get the initial pop unless it's a big reveal. I don't know. I would love to see her in the Rumble, but I don't know if it's going to happen or not. And last one is AJ Lee. I would love to see AJ Lee in the ring. And since Punk came back, the very first day Punk came back, the first night at Survivor Series, in my head, the wheels just started to go already. Because if that bridge is mended, you have to assume that AJ Lee is not far behind. And whether she wants to perform in the ring or not is up to her. But I feel like there's definitely interest by WWE. Why wouldn't there be? You know, she was one of their biggest names, and by association with CM Punk, I'm sure they haven't reached out to her or really tried to get something going. But now that Punk is back and everybody's on good terms, maybe they've reached out. I hope they have, and I hope she is willing to get back in the ring. She looks like she's in the best shape she's ever been. So I would love to see AJ Lee go, and I think she is going, especially because you got some interesting matchups there. And when Punk first showed up, I immediately thought Becky Lynch and Seth versus Punk and AJ at some point has to happen. I even posted it on the Twitter like a night or two after Punk showed up. So would love to see that. So I guess that's it for me. The Rumble, I think Punk wins. Women's, I think Bayley wins. And then Bayley will swerve Damage Control and face Io Sky at WrestleMania. I think that would be pretty cool. And whoever faces Rhea, I don't know. Maybe Becky because they've teased it already, but I don't know. Is that too obvious because they've teased it already? I don't know. WWE is as hot as it's ever been right now, and I cannot be any more excited. But anyway, that's it for me. I appreciate all of you listening and watching. If you haven't subscribed, I ask that you please do. It's free. I'm not going to ask you guys for money. All I ask is that you just hit a button. Just hit subscribe. That's it. Or like the video even. Comment. Let me know what you think. That'd be cool too. And if you're listening on Spotify, give it a follow or rate the show if you'd like. And if you have any emails you want to send me, wickedbittermedia@gmail.com. Hit me up at wickedbittermedia@gmail.com. I would love to talk with you guys or answer questions, or you guys give me comments that I can read on here and we could post them and everything. I mean, that'd be fun. But yeah, until then, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the week. Enjoy the Royal Rumble, and I'll be back next week talking to you guys about it.